Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of MHQ's Foundation 101, where, as usual, we will jump into foundation and other structures in the UAE and see how they can add value for entrepreneurs. I'm joined this morning from Paris by Célia Titouni. Célia, good morning.
Good morning.
So today, what I want to look into is a sort of a casus of a very simple yet successful business and how these tools can add value. And my first question to you is, we talk a lot about corporatization. So what is it and what are the benefits of such a process?
Corporatizing means consolidating high-value assets under one or several legal structure, and this has many advantages. Some of the key ones include the segregation by asset classes, the limited liability with respect to those specific assets, but also the ease of financing or refinancing, facilitating the transfer of ownership interests, and the business continuity at the operational entity level.
So a number of different angles and benefit. Perhaps you can look at it from the sense of a casus. So this is a typical business that you see in the UAE, an LLC, family run, family owned. There is an individual principal, there is an individual local partner. Often this is done on a handshake or with some we call a side agreement. So what can we do to improve that?
So the immediate recommended step here would be to structure both the local sponsor, so the 51%, and the 49% into holding structures, so such as an SPV in ADGM. So doing that both sides, as shown on the chart, and then of course implementing a robust risk mitigation package to replace their so-called gentleman agreement.
Yeah, and that is for the relationship between the local partner and the principal, but there are other benefits. Typically, if one wants to raise finance, as you mentioned, sell the business, have new principal, then the investors can enter straight up at an SPV or DIFC prescribed company level, thereby investing via a holdco and in a common law framework. So you see, from with very simple steps, you have improved dramatically the quality of the structure and its appeal to third party. You've also improved business continuity. This is a foundation podcast. So what is that a foundation can bring to that structure that a company cannot?
Of course, as you're mentioning and as you're suggesting, this is not enough. Not every legal structure is made equal here. So some entities, like sole establishment or partnerships, for example, do not have limited liability, and therefore it exposes all partners to risk. So corporate consolidation, even in a limited liability structure, fails to address key concerns when it comes to legacy planning and asset protection. Here, so the individual shareholders, be it the local sponsor or the foreign investor, are still exposed to third parties' attacks, and shares held in an individual capacity remain subject to probate procedure in case of demise. And that's specifically where foundation is going to add value. So foundation is going to be compatible, as we said, with all UAE and most international asset classes. So that includes real estate, shares, financial portfolios. They enable entrepreneurs and their families to consolidate and keep control over income generating assets and investments while protecting them from potential threats. And again, as you know by now, they're equally effective for Muslims and non-Muslims. So here, in this specific case, they can be used in combination with corporate structures. So for example, holding shares into the holding company or the operational company. And that guarantees business continuity and smooth intergenerational planning.
So if we look at here side by side, these two tools, they are both enabler of consolidation. They can both help consolidate assets, but they are not exactly equal with respect to legacy planning, intergenerational protection, and you have it here. So a couple of key points of what improves if you add a foundation here.
So the foundation will consolidate under one overarching structure, And then you still have the possibility to segregate your assets by classes via the use of an unlimited number of pass-through vehicles. As we said, intergenerational succession is the key here, because that's going to be made in a smooth manner. You also prevent the involvement of authorities, you prevent family disputes, there is no dilution, so that means that the income is protected. You also have a protection against potential financial and legal attacks because you're isolating your assets and liabilities. That ensures business continuity, enhances privacy. It's also a domestic solution, so think cost effective, and most importantly, it falls into a common law framework. So that would speaks to a lot of investors.
So let's look into that, if I may, by looking at the structure as we have built it. So first, this first layer of corporatization, and then on top, the foundation. You see here, the founder, the principal is still in control. He can be one of the council members. And if he is to pass away, the business will continue. There will be no impact, no freeze on assets. Yes, he will be missed, but the business can continue its life, particularly if there's an insurance coverage to replace him straight away. Quite effective, this. So you mentioned the asset protection element. These assets are under the foundation. So if there is an attack against the founder or one of the beneficiaries, these assets will be completely off limit, and that can be the business, that can be real estate, other high value assets that otherwise would be a threat of third parties, think divorce creditors and the like. You mentioned it, so let's summarize it in now. Corporatization, very practical, has a lot of benefit, but can have some downside too if you start to multiplying jurisdiction and because it adds a lot of administrative burden. So what we are aiming after here is to split operations and holding. Lots of benefit there in terms of risk. You want to pool and ring fence the relationship between shareholders, between investors in a robust environment, something that will give credibility and confidence to people. You increase the investor protection because you can enforce your right better. You can maybe pledge shares. Typically in an ADGM SPV, you can do that. You cannot do that at the LLC level, and you benefit from a generally very sophisticated environment. So this is all theory. Now, practice is you reduce red tape big time. If you have a BVI that holds an LLC, it's possible for sure, but you will need to legalize, super legalize every document. It is starting to cost an arm and a leg, and banks hate it because it's an increase in risk. So here you have a domestic solution, which triggers not only a faster decision-making, reduce red tape, and important savings. So who says no? Clearly, a lot of people are saying yes. So corporatization, think about it. If you have any questions, do be in touch, because there's a lot of different vehicles that can serve your objective. And often it's a combination of both sophisticated, common law denominated, pass-through structures and foundation that will give a family and investors the best benefit. Célia, thanks you very much. And next week, we will be looking into trust versus foundation, and we'll answer the question on whether they are peers or rivals. Thank you very much.
Thank you.